We are live at Sukkah, Detroit. Trying to talk into my phone. Hope the sound is okay. We're gonna have a few events, but at least document this. Pretty excited. We got, looks like 4 sukkahs up here. Different designs. See, the synagogue is 1 block further that way, and this is the local park here in Detroit. So we have our whole event set up, and these are the 5 designer sukkahs, different styles that were chosen from over 70 entries of different artists or architects from around the world. This one's a local one from Detroit, like multiple compartments called pocket space. And you can see it's, general sukkah with just a small part, the more artistic than functional. Most of these are more artistic than functional. Here, this was the only sukkah designed by a Jew. All the other sukkahs were submitted by non-Jews, a Cornell alumni architecture student. They received $5,000 design fee if they won, so we had a lot of good submissions. And you can see the inside part. It's in a public park, so there's random people who are all invited to join. But kind of exciting, like beehive type structure. So there's a lot of creativity within Judaism, an ancient ritual, celebrated in a very creative way. That's the woman who organized this. Here's another one. I think this one was designed from someone in Gibraltar in Europe, submitted all the way from Europe, and they won, and they came and built the sukkah. Very nice flowers, internal. This one's more traditional sukkah style, except nicely designed, built with these crates. But this one would more resemble a traditional sukkah that you would see. We have lulav and esrog here. Generally, people will shake the lulav and esrog tomorrow by day, not tonight. So we have Chabad here. Here's this sukkah, was designed by Harvard and MIT alumni. This is our rabbi with her back to me in the gray, Rabbi Silverman. So this sukkah is designed by Cambridge associates, so students from MIT and Harvard. This man, the glasses in one of them, other 2 Asians. Interesting. This one's also classical sukkah. If you saw on my page, just the wall being transparent where you could see through, questioning what it means to be a wall. And this one was designed by the Nigerian who is a student in Leeds, England, came over. He's on my YouTube page discussing this. Classical sukkah design, but he's got like the royal blue. They talked about being popular where he comes from, Nigeria, these hanging things from the ceiling. It has like a nice wood smell that people wrote on, and the little basin of water inside that is commemorative of the Simchas Be'Shueva, the water tossing that used to happen in the temple. So these are 5 sukkahs, and Smack, very good, and pretty excited. Right here in the park, you see a lot of fair. These people are from Eastern Market. We have a lot of co-sponsoring organizations. So we got the local farmers markets, and I got fruit vendors, different people from our interfaith and community-wide. We have a local Chabad rabbi, Rabbi Pinson, if people are familiar with his uncle's famous Rabbi Pinson. If anyone knows Chabad, would probably be familiar with his uncle. So you get the lulav and esrog here, although the mitzvah basically starts tomorrow. Staying with the rabbi is the woman who's the president of the synagogue, who largely organized it. Over there, another Jew, big party promoter, DJ, very popular in this area, makes documentaries. But most of the people who come to this will be non-Jews. It's a public event, and people are familiar with these design competitions. I like them. They show a lot of creativity within the Judaism. People who follow the religion, we do the exact same rituals over and over again. So Sukkah we only do once a year. Some of the prayers we do 3 times a day. But it's very interesting to see things that are done repetitively done in a different, unique way, creatively. A lot of creativity is, hey, happy Sukkah. I'm live streaming on my YouTube channel. I'm going to say hello to Chag Sameach. Thanks for coming. We're going to have they'll be speaking soon, but yeah, please see the Sukkahs, enjoy.
Rabbi with a P.
Rabbi Pinson, Rabbi Silverman, and I think Rabbi Hurwitz will be here. And I may not be part of like the cliques of these parts, but I know most of the people that come through these Jewish events because I go to most of them and involved, but I don't have any official capacity of leadership or point on any board, and I'm not even a member of the synagogue because I don't belong to any organization, for people who know my style in politics. So pretty excited just to see so many people experiencing Judaism. Sukkah, it's a nice common biblical festival like Hanukkah where anybody could give a sermon to back basically any of their beliefs, because there's so many wonderful things about the holiday, basic spiritual transformation, returning to nature, spending a week to revive ourselves, contact with God, contact with the physical world, a lot based on being protected by God when we left Egypt. So it's a very generic, simple, positive message that anybody could be attached to. And a lot of African Americans especially have a more fondness towards Moses. So you find that a lot of people in Detroit, they know the Bible very well, and they're very attuned to the Exodus story of leaving Egypt, leaving bondage and leaving slavery. So a lot of these times these festivals are extremely popular. Because I'm streaming from my cell phone, hopefully you could hear me. If someone wants to chat just to make sure you hear me. I am not going to be able to type out anything in the chat, but I could see them as they come up. The crate one, I don't know if they chose that one. We actually had professional architects design it, so it was a Jewish-sponsored event, but we had the Architectural Institute of America and professors and architects that were largely not Jewish were the ones who chose the winners. And it's like, because $15,000, $5,000 fee, plus $10,000 to build the sukkah. So, this sukkah here, the crates, is from Gibraltar, and they might be here. All the other people came. I think the architect from Gibraltar are here. Maybe I'll be able to get them on. This man here with a jacket, Professor Resnick from Florida, very loosely member of the synagogue, but decided to help out in the project. MIT alumni who studied architecture. He's a professor of architecture and largely, one of the brains behind the operation, but the judges were semi-non-partial, so it wasn't the rabbis who judged which sukkahs would be built. I'm not sure. They may not be halakhic. This one's probably halakhic, actually. This one here, the general, about the schach, that they have to have halakhic schach. So this, one from Gibraltar is probably halakhic. There's little holes, the gaps in it, so if you were under the gap, but bamboo's generally an acceptable schach. This one here is also probably perfectly halakhic, because you have, although walls are artistic in a way that no one's ever seen, but you have the bamboo schach on top, and they're close enough distance that it's considered a roof. This one here may not be halakhic. This one was actually the only one submitted by a Jew. It's actually empty on top and covered. I'm not sure if this one would be considered halakhic or not. This one here also, if that's kosher schach, this intersection would be halakhic. You have the walls, even though they're not solid. Just to have a kosher sukkah is not that complicated. You just need a structure with kosher schach on top. So just to have a halakhic sukkah, there's a lot of creativity and room for how you could design it. The blue one, it was actually very interesting. The man from Nigeria who put a lot of thought into it. That may not be technically halakhic because it's just wood, and I don't know if that's can be considered kosher stock. I mean, we have the rabbi here, Chabad rabbi, and I don't know if they pick too much on being kosher or not. I mean, one thing, it's a pretty liberal synagogue. Hey, Jamie. Hey, great job. Thank God, great job. You too. New Year. So we teamed up with many different organizations, and we basically encouraged all the Jewish organizations that function in Detroit to co-sponsor events, and there are going to be events here all week, mostly liberal, mostly social justice as the nature of the community here. And Chabad, although they're more traditional, at least will usually works together with everybody. Big tent Judaism. So even if you find Chabad an internal, very conservative, but they don't mind working with liberal Jews or participating in events. And as said, if anyone sees this, and you could probably find a local Chabad to celebrate Sukkah with, and you're also usually relatively open to non-Jews. They schedule for 3 o'clock. They're supposed to be the kickoff keynote. This man here, documentary maker, is probably going to record it, although he doesn't. He sometimes never posts it, so just him recording it doesn't mean it's ever going to be posted. So here's our rabbi of the synagogue that I'm always posting. Rabbi Silverman came in a few years ago, Harvard alumni, Reform trained in Ohio, and Rabbi Pinson from France actually, from a famous Lubavitch family going back generations. His uncle is one of the most famous Chabad rabbis in the world. He's on Facebook and YouTube, makes videos. He's traveled. He was the one who met the King of Bahrain and the Pope. I'm live streaming to my YouTube channel. So this man, anyone sees me, he's a photographer, comes to a lot of these events. Some of my pictures on Facebook I took from him. Good man, a lot. You see, it's Detroit. This the man from Nigeria you see here standing. This woman with the sweater is the one who basically organized the event. The man in the baseball cap is the one Jew who built the beehive-shaped one for a Cornell architect. The man from Leeds, England, Nigeria, he had the most spiritual take on it, the most thought in it. All of them had good design, but if anyone watched my video on the Q&A, he definitely put the most thought into the meaning of Sukkah, the spiritual transformation it's supposed to represent, and even having the brass water basins to represent the water throwing that happened in the temple. And so they're probably hoping more people will show up. Usually we have a lot of foot traffic, but at some point in a few minutes there's going to be the keynotes and the speeches by Rabbi Pinson, Rabbi Silverman, and Rabbi Horowitz supposed to be here. The woman earlier might be representing from the Well organization, and the Well might actually be going international, national soon. Successful Jewish organization for just organizing events, get-togethers, not located through a synagogue, and they're expanding across America. So, but the rabbi isn't here yet. Hey, Kaksamet, great job. There's live stream to my YouTube channel. Standing next to the the president's husband, the president of the synagogue, who's really got a lot of things in order and oversaw and put this event together. And eventually, hopefully very soon, is going to be the speeches and the official kickoff, because the holiday starts at sundown tonight.
I was like, wait, someone said my name. How are you? Oh, listen. Do you remember Connor?
Okay. Any chat? So we got the police here. So in Detroit, police are largely African American, like about 50% of police force in Detroit's African American. We have generally very good relations with the city officials in Detroit and park officials, and we work very hard. That's why we have larger community events like this to you really invite the larger community. And we have a small synagogue, only synagogue in Detroit, so an event like this is an opportunity for the larger community. Meet a Jew, participate in a Jewish festival, although typically, like with an Orthodox Judaism, this wouldn't be something that would be done because it's not straight, direct from the tradition. There's might be some leniencies and some inaccurate performing. of the rituals according to the tradition. So only like a progressive group would do something like this. Or you could see that the praise of secular Jews and progressive Jews, that the social justice warrior Judaism is also a form of Judaism. So it's interesting. I'm glad to document this. Glad to be part of this. Hey, Shalom. Excellent. Man works with a local federation. I go to community-wide events. Anyone sees my YouTube page, knows I'm constantly going to Jewish events. I only post like a few a year, but sometimes there's larger community-wide events related to Israel, the federation, charities, foundations, that the wider community will go. So you go to Orthodox places to pray, basically everyone's Orthodox, or maybe occasionally a secular Jew will come into Orthodox place and participate in the Orthodox services. And the synagogue here is largely, because it's the only one in Detroit, we get a pretty wide range, and it's at the end of the street here. Down there, if I was on Luke Ford earlier and talking about 8 Mile M&M, the building at the end there with the American flag is now a Coney Island, had previous been like an abandoned building that had actually been in a lot of movies like Transformers and 8 Mile and a few others. So this is the closest park. And you were saying about the community-wide events, that there's certain issues that will unite all Jews and come to community-wide events where you're not going to be surprised to see Reform, secular, Orthodox, conservative Jews teaming up. And obviously things like immigration are some of those. Usually they're related to Israel, but sometimes social justice warrior causes will get Jews from across the spectrum to come to these events. So a lot of Jews don't actually know each other outside of their sect. 70,000 Jews in Metro Detroit, so you have the people that are part of organizations. If you're part of a Jewish organization, you're probably used to working together with other Jewish organizations in events like this, because all of our events are usually co-sponsored by all the major Jewish organizations. Although, private celebrations are usually just sectarian, because then they have complete control of how it's ran. So here, because there's so many different organizations co-sponsoring this event, there's much less control on the sectarian understanding of how the event should be ran. So you have, is the Sukkah kosher or not? Is the food going to be kosher? All these things will be disputed by Jews, although they still, for the greater purpose of presenting ourselves to the larger community, will come together and cooperate. And there's really something beautiful to it. I mean, it's the power of Judaism. It's the power of the holiday. It's actually, the Sukkah and the holiday that, these are Jewish traditions. So, there you see the microphone getting ready. This Ross School of Business, this woman here is the one who got the $100,000 grant, got the organizations to work together, and did the major organizing for the event. So you see just one Jewish girl, college student, business school, Ross School of Business, one of the best schools in the country. Obviously, Stephen Ross from Detroit, nephew of Max Fisher, one of the wealthiest Jews from Detroit. Stephen Ross is one of the wealthiest people in the world. And the Ross School of Business, University of Michigan. So in terms of financial aspects, organizational aspects, permits, we got building permits. We teamed up with the police, government agencies. A certain wisdom that came from probably a secular Jewish girl who just wanted to be involved and do something. And so it's pretty cool to see what an effect one person organizing could do, and bringing together so many different people. Because if I had organized an event, I might not bring together everybody, but you find someone more secular background, they're more likely to just want everybody involved and see past sectarianism, which pretty excited. Like our rabbi's largely a social justice warrior rabbi. She had been arrested, one of the Telasim protesting the Poor People's Campaign and different things that people have heard probably across the country with the protests for liberal causes. So the synagogue, that's largely the congregation, but there you see Chabad right here. For this, we're working together. And to some extent, it's the foundations, because when the foundations make large donations, usually they want everyone cooperating. And so there's certain power of relatively 3 different billionaire funding: Davidson, Gilbert, and Ross. So think this event has the backing of 3 different Jewish billionaires. Man, I'm live streaming to my YouTube. I only got 4 viewers.
Oh.
Viewer of the Detroit News. Yeah, I know. I'm a congregant.
Me?
Do you want to contact someone to speak to official, or you just want to ask me something, or
Yeah, I'm looking for my contact. Yes.
who's your contact?
Oh wow. Okay, let me pull the name up. Sorry.
No
I
problem.
thought I had it, but I lost
Thank
it.
God we got the Detroit News reporting on the event. Well, he's looking for the contact. So although I'm not official capacity in this event, I basically know everyone who is. So hopefully I'll be able to refer him to who he's looking for, and hopefully this will make a good story and you put in the paper. Yeah, I mean, you saw we got our 5 different sukkahs. We had the competition. We had submittance from 70 people around the world.
Mm-hmm.
We had, Davidson Foundation gave us $100,000. So we were 15,000.
Davidson?
Well, his foundation from his.
Right. So it's the Bill Davidson Foundation, right?
Yeah, the sponsor $100,000. Dan Gilbert also was a minor sponsor, but it was mostly Davidson Foundation. And almost all the major Jewish organizations involved in Detroit are co-sponsoring in it. But we had random architects and artists design our sukkah. So if you're familiar with the sukkah holiday, like you go to Oak Park or Southfield, everybody's got kind of like the generic sukkah. So over the last few years, they've created these design competitions. So there's a lot of creativity within Judaism to make an artistic expression while celebrating the holidays. So you see all of these are the generic ritualistic sukkah hut. Although, these 5, so this one, and just see the artistic creative expression where there could be so many different types of sukkahs.
Okay, all these people. Okay, this one I'm looking at. 3 o'clock is a kickoff celebration with Rabbi Silverman, Pinson.
Rabbi Silverman's the rabbi downtown synagogue.
Is any of those folks here?
Yeah, definitely. Rabbi Pinson. They're going to be giving the kickoff in a few minutes. This woman here is the president of the downtown synagogue.
What's her name?
Jody Fishman Rains.
Not sure. Her name is not on my assignment sheet.
She's the president. I'll introduce you to the rabbi.
So during his 15 minutes.
This Rabbi Silverman.
Who's that?
This woman here is Rabbi Silverman. This man here is Rabbi Pinson.
Which one is Vincent?
Pinson's the tall man there. Yeah, and this Rabbi Silverman, and there'll be kickoff. Yeah, thanks. Pretty cool event. Hopefully during the holiday, I'll do maybe like traditional Orthodox Simchas B'Shueva. You can see on my YouTube page I have from previous years, just like a bunch of Orthodox Jews chanting and dancing, all men. Would be a classical celebration. Maybe I'll be able to film one, maybe not. So this is kind of a unique community-wide event that generally Jews who don't gather, Jews gather sectarian-wise, and only by community-wide events would you see, the cross of different Jews gathering together. So, this woman talking to the rabbi, Repair the World, which Repair the World's national across Detroit, social justice warrior, secular Jewish organization, sponsors of the event. Saying the Well starting in Detroit will probably be national soon. So you see like Rabbi Silverman, fountainhead, spiritual authority of these social justice warrior type Jewish organizations. And you have Rabbi Pinson. People are familiar with Chabad, which fall in the Orthodox Hasidic schools, but have this outreach attitude and more focus on the good than not necessarily micromanaging everyone, just saying, giving them, providing that way to fulfill the rituals, to have authentic experience of Judaism, but much less dogmatic than most Hasidic or forms of Orthodoxy. Because as you can see, Rabbi Pinson's the only Orthodox representative, besides for me, like Breslov, Baal Tshuva. If Breslov was in Detroit, you might see, Breslov Hasidim dancing, distributing literature, although I'm really their only representative. My ancestors were some of them were likely Breslov Hasidim, so we don't really have any of those in Detroit, maybe a few liking or followers. So if it was in LA or an event that had Breslovers, you might also see Breslovers or other certain Hasidic groups like Halsey's Rebbe, the Bostoner Rebbe, people, Halsey's, follower of this Boston Rebbe, who's very popular. He would also be the type that would probably participate in an event like this just because of, but generally sectarianism is extremely large among Jews, and just disputes over the proper way to do this would preclude different Jewish organizations from working together on events like this. But so it's somewhat historical. So I'm trying not to leave too much dead time because you can see they're getting the microphone ready, and I wanted, my main purpose was to record these conversations and show you the sukkah, but just not to have dead time. I'm talking. If someone wants to put a question in the chat or something, I could try to address it. I'm not sure if anyone really wants to be interviewed for my YouTube page. Maybe some of the architects, the people who came, had the Q&A. It was interesting. But, I mean, to some extent, most of the Jews who are here are heads of different organizations, so they're all kind of promoting their own causes, which is typical for anybody who does community activism, organizing. A lot of these communal events, it's all preachers, no choir. I mean, so you get the heads of all the different organizations operating, but there's not really a huge group of people that waiting to hear them. So it's basically the speeches are just speaking to the other heads of organizations or the few people that are coming through. So if people have seen my YouTube page for years, it's pretty typical, or people who work in communal organizing know that's works. Rabbi Pinson, Dov Pinson, famous Kabbalist in Queens, New York, is his uncle. One of the most famous Chabad rabbis in the world today. People saw the videos of the Chabad rabbis meeting with the King of Bahrain, or the council rabbis meeting with the Pope last year. People are friends of mine on Facebook. That was this man's uncle, Rabbi Pinson. Written books on Kabbalah, and is actually interesting, a believer in reincarnation, because reincarnation is a controversial topic among Jews, but his uncle has written books about the Jewish belief in reincarnation. Interesting topic, but the same, Phil, basic Chabad function. I think his wife is the daughter of the Chabad rabbis from Cincinnati. So, certain, generic, this man here works for the Davidson Foundation that funded us. Pray together. We have different politics, but a good man. He also, I think he went to the Ross School of Business, the same woman who organized it, and then he got a job at the Davidson Foundation, which is the largest sponsor of anything Jewish in Metro Detroit. For people who know Detroit, most people would have only heard of Davidson because he was the owner of the Detroit Pistons, but his wealth largely came from Guardian Industries, which was a glass company that the estate ended up selling to the Koch brothers. But Bill Davidson's pretty famous because he owned the Pistons when they were world champions, and biggest sponsor of Jewish events in Detroit. Okay, so we got a rabbi. Make sure. I didn't hear that, Oscar. Thanks for telling me. I have to check the news. I didn't hear that. But yeah, he's a beacon of Michigan. And I actually shook his hand once.
Generations of our ancestors who were based on the agricultural cycle, who were very deeply connected to the earth. And many of the other things resonate deeply, I think, today in our modern world. One of them is that the deep connection to the earth itself, reminding us of our frailty, reminding us of the importance of being outdoors, reminding us of the importance of being connected to the world in which we live. Also reminding us just to be humble and to have the humility but recognizing that the world is evolving.
Be humble.
And as we dwell in it, we need to be responsible for it. And finally, there's the theme, one of the final themes is that it's important to welcome guests. To welcome guests into our support, to welcome guests into our lives, into our homes, wherever they may be. And so I also want to welcome you, please, to come to this Avery Downtown Synagogue if you wish. We're doing a tour at 4 o'clock. You can meet at the information table to do that. And to come throughout the week where we'll be there to answer all of your questions about Sukkot and for you to see the examples of all of the designs that were submitted for this competition from all around the world. We'll hear a bit more about that in a moment. I also want to share this time with my colleague, Rabbi Pinson. He's going to tell you a little bit more about the Arla al-Munim, right here, and how to prescribe ritual of the
Thank you.
Anyone who's follower my YouTube page, both of these rabbis have basically been on my YouTube page since they came to Detroit. Although completely different denominations, because I back Judaism in Detroit, I've backed both Rabbi Silverman and Rabbi Pinson, who both came from other places to Detroit.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Pinson with Chabad of Greater Downtown Detroit. I would like to open with a verse of Psalm 117. Hallelu et Adonai kol goyim, shabhuhu kol haumim, ki gavar aleinu chasdo, ve'emet Adonai leolam hallelujah. We invite all nations of the world to join us in praising Hashem, the Lord, for His kindness to all of humanity. We have just emerged from 10 days of intense prayers inside of a synagogue as a Jewish community, and now we're coming outside in our huts to connect with the world at large, with all nations of the world, with everybody, just like in the time of the temple. The time of Sukkot was a time of unity and community. It is symbolized by the open door of the Sukkah, and also by these 4 species that we shake together to the 4 corners of the world every day of Sukkot. We have the etrog right over here. It's a citrus fruit that came all the way from Calabria in the south of Italy. And a palm branch, the myrtle branch, and the willow branch. And together, we tie them together. We cannot separate them. They stay together. And this is the message for us, that if we want to have a good year, the best way to guarantee that is to stick together. So I want to wish everyone Shana Tova. I want to remind you that in a week from yesterday, Saturday night, we're going to have a big party right over here, celebrating all of Sukkot, 9 p.m., Capitol Park. And I have more information.
I hope to live stream that one also.
I will be here also tomorrow afternoon with my
Parts of it.
my kids. And anyone who wants to do the blessing in that, they're doing that tomorrow. Shana Tova and Yashakor, congratulations to all of the designers who have to put up with Rabbi and I and our halachic requirements. It was an exercise in the best in design, complying with the oldest Jewish tradition. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Yes. Oh. As I said, Resnick was MIT alumni professor at a local university here in Detroit. And this man is probably with one of the architectural organizations that judge the competition.
What a beautiful day. You couldn't have asked for a more gorgeous day to start this festival, start this incredible competition. I want to thank all the organizers, Jody Segal, folks at Downtown Synagogue, rabbis, just really appreciate it. And also congratulations to the designers, and thank you to all that's needed. You know, at the William Davidson Foundation, we are committed to strengthening.
Okay, apologies, from the Davidson Foundation.
This city, this region, but also the Jewish community in our region. One of the things that is really special about this particular project is how it brings together people that we work with from designers to architects to entrepreneurs to folks at the downtown synagogue and throughout the region. So we're delighted that all of you found a reason to come here to be with us this afternoon to celebrate the festival that really embodies the spirit of gratitude and hospitality. And Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Tack så mycket.
In case anyone doesn't know, we're saying Shabbat Shalom and you have a good year because we just celebrated the Jewish New Year.
Okay, this is Professor Resnick,
It's off to a good start.
who said he built sukkahs as a kid. And
I was really excited to co-chair the jury, the selection jury for this competition, which yielded these 5 really excellent designs. This competition in itself, while giving a chance for young designers to get some experience getting something built, also highlights the role that the
And a nice
synagogue
check.
plays in the community of Detroit, as well as the role of culture and public space, and that we can see such a huge sort of rebirth, especially in this neighborhood. And I think these superb really kind of celebrate that. I just want to really quickly recognize the designers who are here. Starting with this, we have Abra Ete from the UK.
the blue sukkah there.
And the fuzzy sukkah behind us is Nice One Projects from Boston. And
Harvard and MIT students.
the vegetable crates are Gamma Architects from Gibraltar. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it across the pond to be with us. But, the wooden sukkah next to that is Noah Ives from Portland.
Cornell Architecture alumni.
And the fabric sukkah at the end is Jelly from Detroit, with also local fabricators, Detroit Fiberworks. And CBK Urban Lux Style and Visual Noise Detroit, Chris Stern as fabricators. Are there any of the fabricators here? So that's really it. I think spend some time walking.
The
through these.
fabricators built the sukkah.
There's signage.
The designers
cards
designed it
that,
and sent the
with
specs to the
artist's
fabricators
statement, so you
who
can learn more about each sukkah and
you had the materials ready here in Detroit.
So thank you very much.
The time of our joys, and let us be joyous together. We're going to have arts and crafts. Starting at 4. There's monologues, which are absolutely gorgeous, and as Rabbi Pinson pointed out, we also met with the approval of rabbis this Sukkah. It's really amazing. And it's a wonderful thing to have all of you here, so please introduce yourselves to one another. Thanks.
Okay, that's probably it of the speeches. Pretty excited. I'm actually going to head down to the Hare Krishna temple now, like I usually do. The holiday starts tonight at sundown, and people who know 2 days, people who keep 1 or 2 days in America will go till Tuesday night, and then there'll be interactivities. So here during the week, there's going to be activities basically every day. Drum circle. Hey, God bless you. Happy Sukkah. Thanks for doing this. I'm live streaming to my YouTube channel. You cut the materials. I mean, you like
dyed all
the dye.
colored fabric and the one, the big white one back there.
Okay, yeah, from Gillet in Detroit.
Yeah, I did.
I got her on my YouTube page at we had an event at the Synagogue Q&A.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yes, I guess the designers had Detroit fabricators put it together. They just gave them the specs. Awesome. Thanks for participating. Please come to any or all of our events.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Happy holidays. Chag Sameach. Happy New Year. Yeah, so we're gonna have drum circles, talks. I may or may not live stream. I don't know if people actually care if people watch this. I mean, I got a few viewers, but oh man, I don't know the quality. I appreciate it. God bless. Did your colleagues go home?
Thanks. Well, when do I go home?
Did your colleagues leave already?
Yeah, they're in Cambridge now. Yeah, they have school. But
Yeah, enjoy if you stay here for the week. You know, come to all or any of our programs, or
Yeah,
there's a lot available in Detroit.
Yeah, for
Right
sure.
here.
Thanks.
Are you also a student?
I'm in between school, so I have to apply to grad school still. But I just graduated and we'll be
I'm
taking
live
time.
streaming. I was a good student, but I applied to MIT and Harvard and got rejected by both of them.
Oh, okay.
I ended up at University of Michigan's a very good school.
Yeah.
I went to Israel. If I'd gotten to MIT or Harvard, I probably wouldn't have went to study in Israel.
Yeah.
But I always respect those schools. You know, like
Yeah.
Rabbi Silverman's Harvard alumni, and
Wow.
and you see the creativity like Sukkah, because our religion's very repetitive. We do the same thing, you know, again and again. But there's a lot of creativity within it. You know, say that to do the repetitive ritual that Jews have been doing for thousands of years, but a creative way that no one in the history of Jews has ever made a sukkah like this.
That's really great to hear.
And merit of the holiday, that we gather together a wider. Jews are largely sectarian, so typically we worship in synagogues according to our sect, but it's larger community events that not only bring Jews who wouldn't meet otherwise, but the larger community.
Yeah.
And it fits the spirit of this holiday.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Oh, happy holiday.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah.
And here's a lot of architect. I mean, if you like the feel, I'm going to cut the stream now.
Okay.